What's up guys, and welcome one and all to yet another episode of #asktuggtv. Now this is a segment wherein we answer your questions to the best of our abilities and also hopefully get to know you guys a bit more better. Let's start things off with the first question. Best budget electric guitar and amps. Now quite honestly, the Schecter SGR series is one of the best budget guitars which you can go out there. Not only is the build quality really good, but then the hardware and the electronics are pretty decent when you consider that it's an entry level guitar. Not only that, but the SGR series also provides you with a few different body options, unlike the Ibanez where everything is almost the same. Now coming to the world of budget amplifiers, there is just one leader.
So in terms of guitars, you can definitely consider looking at stuff from Schecter. At about the 10,000 rupee mark, you have the likes of ESP and Cort. I'm not saying they make bad guitars, they make some pretty decent guitars, but there are issues in terms of, some level of quality when it comes to Cort, especially the tuners. Pickups are also, sort of a downer over there. In terms of acoustics, if you like a sweet warm tone, consider looking at Epiphone. The DR100 is a great guitar, I've reviewed it in the past. Cort also makes some great acoustic guitars. Yamaha is my preferred choice because I think he's got some amazing quality control. And lastly, consider some of the Indian options. Check out Cadence. In terms of amplifiers, budget is a very vast perspective, but I'm going to keep it to around 10,000 rupees and under. The Boss Katana Mini is another great option that you can consider. If you are going anything below that, like 6,000 rupees and under, while yes, there are things like amp plugs from Vox and Blackstar as well, which you can consider. If I am being honest, and I know what I'm about to say, this is going to tick off a lot of amp heads, I would actually not recommend for you to buy an amplifier. Because let's face it, if you're going that much and below, you may not necessarily be gigging. You might be looking for this, as a practice amp. 5K and below, the amps really aren't good. And if you put that money into a cheap audio interface, you can use some free DAWs and VSTs out there, and you will get way better tone than you would out of any of these entry-level amps. The other advantage you get is you're able to do a lot of tracking and recording in case you want to sort of record music, put it out on social media. That becomes a possibility. With all of us working at home and all that stuff, our PCs are practically on all the time. So practice routine. I play guitar about 2 times a day, or at least once a day. I have these routines of about 25 minutes and then I take a break and then play again for about 25 minutes. I always start off doing some sort of exercises. So I start with the chromatic scale, my scales, my modes, that would comprise about 10-15 minutes of warm up. If I'm playing bass, again, scales and modes. And after that, I also like to, play some covers. I think it's a fun way to keep in touch with your instrument and learn something new every single time.
Where do I get metal band posters online? Well, Saim, when it comes to metal posters, this is kind of a tricky situation. Now, as far as I know, there are very few e-commerce websites which actually host metal posters. Amazon being the easiest one because, well, it has quite a lot of options. Now, for the few of the bands, you can also check out, say, Flipkart. There's one thing called Poster Gully, if I'm not wrong. You can check that out as well. And also there are a few smaller shops which I'm not able to get at the moment. And another word of advice is if you guys can actually get a hold of a really good resolution of the picture that you want, you can also go to your local print shop and ask them to print it out for you. Now hopefully you find the poster what you're looking out for, and if you do, let us know in the comments down below on which platform you found it on.
6-string whammy or 7 strings fixed? I'm going to go with 7 strings fixed because I change my tuning a lot. And having a fixed bridge that way is a little easier to deal with. And I don't use the whammy as much. So nothing wrong with whammies. I'm not doing justice to it. So
on a very personal note, not only in these options, but then in any options, I would prefer anything with a fixed bridge. So yeah, in this case, it would be the 7-string fixed bridge. Now this is essentially the factor that I'm not somebody who uses the Floyd Rose quite often. And well, I kind of feel it's a lot more easier to change tunings and kind of set it up if it's a fixed bridge. If you share my opinion that Floyd Roses are a pain in the ass to begin with, we also have a video wherein we kind of show how to block the bridge, so you can check that out. IG_Lucifer480X asks us, what's your favorite VSTs? Well, at the moment, I think I'm totally in love with the whole Ignite pack, which is the emissary amplifier head and the NAD IR, IR loader. Now this combination of the amplifier and the IR loader are just perfect. Now this combination of VSTs is so brilliant, it actually makes you wonder how they're giving it away for free. Now if you guys haven't downloaded this already, make sure you download this bundle and use it to get the most brutal tones possible.
I am currently working on Mercurial's Reaxis. I think it's a great VST. I'm working on a review which, depending on when this video came out, it will either follow or I will pull it out. In either case, it's going to be linked in the description, or if it's already out, there's a card over here for you to check out. Apart from this, I like the ML Sound Labs Arc. I think it's nice. It's a, PRS Archon emulation. Got some great clean tones in it. And apart from all of this, there are great free VSTs to consider. STL Tones Ignite Emissary is a great option. In fact, I just recommend you get the Emissary plugin bundle because that gives you the amp and NAD IR, which is an IR loader with some options, and you can get started with recording your music. And apart from this, you can also check out stuff from Nalex, which I've also reviewed in the past and I think is absolutely amazing. Recording guitar on a phone mic first and then editing the tone later in the DAW. Sam, if I'm being honest, can you do it? The answer is yes, but will you get good tone out of it? Being honest, man, the answer is no. The reason for this is because the microphone on your smartphone is built to pick up voice, which means it's picking up certain frequencies and then it has another noise cancelling microphone which is dialing out the rest. So when you're trying to record a musical instrument on a smartphone, it's picking up some frequencies, but it also is dialing out a lot of that. So eventually when you put it into your DAW and then you're trying to equalize and all of that stuff, you just don't have some of the frequencies to equalize and get good tone out of. And not to forget, if you're doing a distortion guitar, your phone's microphone is just going to consider it noise for the most part, and more often than not is just going to be fighting it rather than trying to pick up the frequencies. So not going to work out, to be honest.
Is there much scope of being a session musician in India? Well, Anuradha, when it comes to being a session musician, it's quite a bit of a mixed bag of things, especially in a country like India. Now, yes, there are a lot of opportunities out there for you to become a session musician, but it also kind of depends on what type of a session musician you want to be. There are a lot of type of session musicians, like the ones who kind of play for other musicians or are actually live members for the members who don't exist or are not feeling all that well. And there is also the session musicians for corporate gigs, and quite a lot more as well. Now, if you want us to go in detail about the kind of session musicians which are there in India and how you can start your career in it, let us know in the comments down below and we'll try and focus a complete segment on the same topic. But one thing to note is that whenever you become a session musician, you kind of need to be open to play quite a lot of things. Now, one day you might be playing death metal and immediately the next day play blues or even Hindi songs for that matter. Sadly, that is the state of Indian session musicians because, well, let's face it, the musical world is not so lucrative here in India. Until and unless you give yourself a weird name and kind of go into all these Bollywood rappers for that matter. But is that something that you want to?
Mics to get good recording. Derek, I don't know if you're talking about recording voice or recording instruments, but if you want to record a musical instrument like an acoustic guitar, the Shure SM57 is one well-known and definitely a good option. It's priced fairly decently, comes in about 7,000 rupees. Been around for a while, well established. You can consider that. In terms of what we use, I'm currently recording in an Audio-Technica ATR 1200. I don't have much soundproofing at the moment because there's some changes going on in the room and all of that. So, this is what you're hearing. And apart from this, I have a newer NW1500, which I've used to record both voice as well as guitar. I think it kind of works out okay. And if you're looking for more information on this, I've done an in-depth video. It's linked in the description for you to check out. Opinions on Greek black metal. Firstly, thank you for the support. So when I think about Greek black metal, one band that comes to mind is Rotting Christ, and I absolutely love them. These guys came down to India in 2014 for Bangalore Open Air and absolutely blew everyone's mind. Like, in my personal opinion, they stole the show, literally. So I think it's great. I also am not one who likes to, take metal bands and put them in boxes. So it doesn't matter if you're Greek or not. If your metal is metal, works for me, man.
Now with that, we come to the end of this episode of #AskTuggtv. If you have any questions for us, let us know in the comments down below or reach us out on any of our social media platforms with the hashtag TUGGtv. Now, if it's the first time that you're coming across our channel, we do a lot of experiments with relation to music, have a lot of original composition, and a few funny skits here and there as well. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time we release a new video. With that, this is TUGGtv signing off, and as usual, stay safe and stay metal.